There's one problem. There's one problem with this system. You want me to tell you what it is? I'm going to tell you the biggest problem here with this system. And I'm here in a very special room with some interesting components that have been recently released by Audio Group Denmark. Tyler, tell us what you got going on here, because I am seeing things that this man right here and I had a conversation about back when I did the factory tour last year, and they were just in like a prototype phase. I was really excited, but I'm happy that you finally made it a reality, okay? And I'm going to start drilling you in a minute, but I want him to talk about what we have going on.
All right, I'll take the softball questions, and then the brains behind the operation can get going. So
awesome.
Welcome to the 2025 Axpona show. I'm glad we can finally get you into the Epiphany room. It's been crazy. You've been patient, so thank you. Thank you and your team. Super excited. Obviously, this is our home show, so we bring everything.
Yep.
And we've got 7 rooms, but of course, this is our crown jewel, and this is the best of the best we have. And Michael has designed, and we're showing for the first time ever, the AVIC R880 Phono stage.
Okay.
And we have it paired on the Lin LP12 turntable with a DS Audio cartridge, a light or optical cartridge.
Beautiful.
And this is a brand new piece. I'll walk you through all the new pieces, and then we'll drill Michael with your hard questions.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Global debut as well for the Borresen bass modules. Final details are not yet ready, but this will be one of 3 subs in a range of subs.
Oh, wow.
Or bass modules, as we call them. And this will be probably like the mid-level. And if you look inside, Jay, it has 4 8-inch woofers. And again, Michael can talk to you about this technology, but super fast. I think you heard the prototype with me at the factory. Yeah,
I did, definitely. I see these things on top. Does that mean we're going to be able to stack them?
Stack up to, I believe, 3 high. So
awesome.
It's going to be
great. That's great.
Incredible. And then, of course, my heart melts for these things. This is my baby that of course, Michael's design and Lars's approval, but this was the speaker I'd asked for a couple years, and so grateful Michael did. It's called the Borresen M2, $190,000. Best loudspeaker we know how to make, and a nice small size.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, for almost any room.
Without a doubt, yes.
And so we sold lots of the M1s, the monitor speaker.
Yes.
We needed more. You've heard the story. The M3s are quite a bit bigger speaker. So Michael did this baby, and I'm so grateful. So thank you to the Audio Group Denmark team, of course. And now you start with the hard questions.
Now, I want to know first.
Okay.
So this was not originally part of the plan for Borresen. This was not even in the map, but I see there was a gap between $99,000, which is the M1,
yep,
and $280,000 for the M3. There's a large gap, so you really can't move someone from the M1 all the way to the M3. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I can understand that. I'm assuming that's the reason why you were requesting something in the middle.
Yeah, the price gap is huge. You're right, but when you're talking M series, price usually isn't quite the issue. It was really the room size that drove it. Having something in the middle, price does help, but really the motivation was room size. The M3, you've probably seen it at the store next to the M1. It's a lot bigger. It's significantly bigger than this.
It is.
So this size, it's kind of similar size to the T3, which you saw at the last show. The Southwest Audio Fest,
yes,
the black pair. That's kind of a really nice, best-selling floor standard size for us. And so now to have an M series product in that kind of, I call it a slender floor standard, it works amazing.
So, MSRP for the subs at this time?
I think this range is going to be about $20,000 per sub.
Okay.
Yeah, and here we're showing 2 of them.
$190 for the speakers.
$190.
All right. So now for the hard questions.
All right, let me pass the mic
Michael
to
Borresen
the brains behind the operation. Yeah.
Thank you.
First question for you. What took you so long to finally release subs?
The thing is that this is iteration 3, and it always takes time to realize just what are the shortcomings of what you have and what you need to improve. Okay. And then there's a process of designing what you need to improve, and then you have to get prototypes made, manufactured for the cabinets, so we can build up everything. And we also had to manufacture a brand new amplifier for it with a crossover, analog crossover built in. So there's always a long time, a long wait, so to speak, before you have a working concept until you have, or proof of concept until you have a final product.
Okay. Now, I am noticing that this is not like a traditional subwoofer. It looks different. And you have woofers facing each other. You have the back of the cabinet open, the front open. Why did you decide to make the subwoofers that way?
First of all, I think that if you look at instruments in the real world, there's nothing like a monopole. If you take a bass, the string is vibrating in free air. You have the bass, but the bass string has the ability to short circuit itself, so it doesn't really create pressure, but it creates motion in the air.
Okay.
The same with the kick drum. You have the frame, the barrel around it, but it's open. We have the skin. You hammer the skin, and it creates a wave, but the pressure can escape to the backside. So the idea for this is basically to make something that's more like a musical instrument.
Okay.
And the problem with normal subs, there's two problems with normal sub, is that they pressurize, because they compress air inside, and that means that they suck air out of the room and they fill it up. And in a room, you have one really predominant resonance, and that you don't want to excite. But the room resonance, the volume resonance, and the bass, they sort of, if you do a closed box with a lot of power, they sort of excite each other, and that means that you get a congestive feeling from the bass. The other problem with normal subwoofers is that they are DSP controlled, and with DSP you always have a delay of maybe 20 milliseconds. And if you want to time that to a speaker that is really created with time alignment and all these things that makes it a good speaker, it's impossible. That's why subs are never really working well with music. So we are primarily a two-channel company, so we wanted to make something that could fit in our philosophy and fit the music. And what we gained with this is that it doesn't really, of course it adds extension lowards, but what it adds most is texture and substance in the mid-range.
Yeah, agreed, yeah.
Yeah, it just simply scales the music up. Like you go from one speaker to three times bigger speaker, really. That's the sense you get when you attach these woofers to it. And the clarity and the even hi-hats gets the substance, because there's transients in everything. And transients extend from the very, very deepest space. And when you have something that really times that transient, everything gets more solid and textured.
And I know you're not involved in the financials, but customers are always looking at $280 for the M3 or $190 plus $40,000 for the subs. That puts me at $230.
Yeah.
How do I decide, Tyler, if I just spend $280 or $230? Right. That's in your opinion. What would you say?
Great question. I mean, the first thing, and same with your business. The
Right.
first thing we will do is look at room size, and from room size, that'll determine first thing if you're an M2 or M3 customer.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And
Well,
so,
awesome.
I mean, and then like your business, you know this, and you've been doing it a long time, is you always get the best speaker you can. So if your room size supports an M3, you get the M3, add the subs. If your room size doesn't support an M3, you would get the M2, and then if you can, you add the subs. But some of our customers who have already gone for the M2s, you know, it would be even hard to, even though these subs disappear and they're extremely musical, it'd be, just because they're cozy spaces, it'd be hard to fit the real estate of even this small sub. So
yeah, it is. I see what you're saying.
So the M2 is kind of really a different room size than the M3, and so
That's very clear. Yeah, I understand that.
yeah. So the other thing too, I want to just mention, I was looking through my phone in the background when I scooted away for a second. You know, you said, hey, why did this take so long? And you sparked a memory in my mind. Michael and I were traveling together in 2018, visiting a very high-end customer in Texas. We were doing some work on his system. And Michael was traveling and looking around at the customer system. And, you know, I think he got distracted for like a half hour. He was focusing on something. And I was like suddenly doing the work. I'm like, Michael, what do you... And then we went to lunch later that day, and he's like, I got an idea for a subwoofer. And that was 2018. So it's been brewing for a long time.
Got
for
it.
him.
It's been a while.
Yeah, well, then we got Michael back in and we finished the upgrades we were doing. But I think he designed the subwoofer in his mind pretty quickly at that visit. So that was a fun experience. So the reason why I think that's important is this was not obviously he's building drivers his whole life, but this was not a quick, let's just add subs.
Mm-hmm. So it just took you some time
yeah,
to really...
it always does. And the inspiration is also, during my tenure at the university, I did speakers there, but I did apogee type speakers, that are big panels. And I always like the way big panels present the bass.
Okay.
Because it has this floating bass it doesn't extend very deep, but it has this transient capability and this floating bass that I really, really like, and I wanted to create something that could do that. Oh. So if you look at this, it's basically, you can call it an air motion transformer or folded dipole or whatever. It's not a new concept. It's certainly not something I would say I invented in any way.
That was a German.
Yeah,
that 30 years ago.
30 years ago.
So in that respect, there's nothing really new. But in high-end terms and by sub-manufacturer, it is new. It is radical. It is different. And it performs different. And what we found with all the experiments we have done is that it really times well with music and scales up the music in a way that we have not been able to do with normal subs.
Now I want to move on to another important component, another discussion, Phono stage.
Oh yeah.
I know you have a lot to say about your new baby. Tell us about this particular product. Again, took you a while. You know there has been a lot of vinyl floating around, shows, a lot of rooms are displaying really great turntables, Phono stages. Yeah. What happened?
Yeah, we actually had Phono stages. Also in our prior series, we had Phono stages, but we never had a Phono stage that was adapted for the DS audio cartridge. I heard the DS audio cartridge, I think at Jonathan Vallen's place many years ago, and I thought that that concept has to have some potential. The first one brought out was with, I think, Shibata needle, and that is not the end game of resolution. This one has a much better stylus, and the concept has a slightly higher output than a moving coil, requires a different equalizer, but it is so quiet the way it tracks the records. Lower moving mass allows for better tracking. It's an unbelievable cartridge. So it was pretty clear when we were making a top tier for our 8.8 series Phono stage, we needed to include that. And we have made a lot of prototypes with this. And one huge problem with these is that the signal is offset by 9 volts. So you cannot use a normal circuitry. So we had to figure out how to create a normal circuitry that could accept that 9-volt elevated signal. And that is not an easy task, and the normal way of doing it is blocking the DC out with a capacitor. But already there you lose a lot. So we wanted to make something that was directly coupled to the amplification stages without the cap, and we had to sort of like invent a circuit. And frankly, we did that by going back in time to see how that was solved earlier on. Tube amplifiers can accept that because they have a floating grip, but we didn't want to make a tube stage. So we found another way to take the capacitor out of the signal path. And with that, we could clearly feel that the signal, the openness came.
Got you.
There are other issues or things with these because of the geometry and the way the beryllium foil covers more or less of the optical element in there. They have a frequency rise in the bass, so you have to take that out. But all DS cartridges are not created equal. Some have a Borresen cantilever, this one has a diamond cantilever, and they are different lengths. And with different lengths, you get different motions of the foil inside the cartridge. And with that different low frequency rise, so you have to have an adjustable filter in there in the bass. And also in the top end, they have a rise in the top end, but they are also different regarding depending on the geometry of the needle and the weight of the needle. So you also have to have on-the-fly capability of adjusting the high frequency rise. That we have done in this one.
Yesterday I caught you saying something really interesting, and it's been in my head basically the last 24 hours. You said, I wonder if, something along the lines of this, so I'm going to try to quote him. He said, I wonder if the reason why there is so much more air and this beautiful sound with a table is because this is a mechanical device that has movement, and so is a speaker. Remember you said something along those lines yesterday too?
Yeah.
And so I want you to expand on that train of thought a little more.
I think that basically if you look at it in isolation, the streaming has better data than the turntable. Mm-hmm. But what if what the thing that reduces the fidelity of the signal is actually suiting the speaker. Because here you have something starting with a mechanical movement, becomes electrical. And over there you have something electrical becoming mechanical movement. So maybe the exaggeration of movement they have here suits the limitation of movement that's over there. So there can be something in how materials work and flex, and that is working towards improving the fidelity out of the speaker. I always feel when we play vinyl, we have something that is closer to reality.
Yes, I would agree with that. I would agree with, and for a long time, to be sincere, Lars and your team have always done digital. For a long time. I mean, this is what you guys have been known to play a lot of digital. So I'm excited that you are doing something new. This is exciting to me.
Yeah,
and to hear you give that comparison is really cool.
The knowledge have always been there, but our capabilities have not been there. I think that you should not do anything until you can do it proper. And so our capabilities have not been there and frankly, turntables, this is an old design turntable. Yep. And for me and for Lars and for everybody in this room, it's still one of the best turntables out there. And it seems like if you create something bigger, heavier, then it must be better, right? Not necessarily. And that's what we see also when we make amplifiers, when we make boxes, when we look into materials. Materials matter a lot, and all of a sudden our knowledge into this has become to a level where we can start doing something about it in a real serious way.
Interesting. So we both are in agreement that turntable sounds better than digital.
No, I think some turntables sound better than digital, but not everyone.
No, I agree.
Not
There's
everyone.
definitely.
It's not a. But I think that a good and well set up turntable really suits the music.
Okay.
But there's also you need to have good records.
Oh no, that's another thing. That's another conversation. The records are.
So in a way.
Yes.
So in a way, this is consumable.
Yes.
This is gourmet.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
best way to put it.
If you really want to go here and get something that is better than streaming, you really have to go all the way. Yeah. It's cabling, it's cartridge, it's phono stage. It's not a trivial task to get what we have in here.
Yeah. Well, I am super excited to have seen this. Last question, Tyler.
Yes.
Please. Is this currently shipping? What's the MSRP on this phono stage?
So all the 880 series is $70,000. So that is just starting to ship now. But like every 880 here is $70,000. And so what's going to be kind of exciting is you're going to hear the M2s bi-amped. So we have two of the stereo amplifiers vertically bi-amped into the M2s.
Oh, great.
And really excited for you to hear that.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And then we'll put a cut in with the subs. But I think it'll be really special for you to hear the M2s bi-amp because they have a ton of grip, power, control in this relatively big room. Mm-hmm. And, it's a smaller speaker. So, and then we'll obviously add the subs in.
It would be nice, definitely. Okay, so let's get to listen, if possible, and go from there. All right, guys, I'm going to take a seat now. And we're going to do the transition into listening. Michael, thank you so much, man.
You're so welcome.
I'm happy. I'm happy to see this. This is amazing. This is really, really cool. So let's... All right. Oh, wow.
Sometimes it comes out just looking like nonsense put together. But
that's crazy.
When I get it right, I feel it comes across just as my dreams come across.
That is nuts. That is nuts, man. This is like wearing headphones, guys. Oh my gosh. I'm just trying right now to gather my thoughts. Give me a few more minutes. Wow. Man. This sounds so three-dimensional. You're inside the music. The outstanding stereo imaging. this is bi-amped or not? Bi-amped, no subs.
No subs.
Before, you can. Okay, guys. So I have to say,
Crazy, right?
I mean, I'll be honest. Yesterday, these guys had a lot going on. I was in the back. I was trying to take videos. They had a press event, and so I didn't really get a feel for the system. But now that I'm seated where I'm supposed to, it is. I don't think I've heard. This could potentially be the best I've ever heard any of your rooms ever sound. Like right now, what I'm getting with the M2's bi-amped.
It adds so much control.
It's crazy.
Depth and texture. It's really awesome. So
it's crazy. And again, I have not heard the subs yet. These yet. I would say without hearing them, I wouldn't buy them because of what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Until of course you turn them on, and then I'm gonna realize, okay.
There's
Maybe
more.
you're going to change your life.
Right. Exactly. So, but I'm saying if I didn't have to hear them, I would be like, put them in the box. I'm taking them home. Like I'm not looking for anything else.
Absolutely.
It's incredible. It's almost like wearing 3D glasses at the movies. And when you put them on, you're inside the movie and things are coming flying at you that you're almost doing this. That's essentially the effect that I'm getting with the M2s. Everything is just walking to you. It doesn't stay with the speaker. It's so three-dimensional. Like I was like trying to collect my thoughts the moment the music started. It's unbelievable. Oh man, I got something I need to say before I lose my train of thought. So for those of you who hopefully can come out and listen to the system today, if not, I'm sure you can head over to Next Level Hi-Fi here in Chicagoland. Anyway, there's one problem. There's one problem with this system. You want me to tell you what it is? I'm gonna tell you the biggest problem here with this system. If you hear it, you can't fucking unhear it. Pardon my language. And that's a problem to have. Because when you get home, it's just, have you ever seen those glasses that Apple sells that you put on and you're inside wherever you are? Those three-dimensional images, you see pictures, you get a three-dimensional idea of what's going on. This is like putting those glasses on. Like there is so much happening, thrown at you, three-dimensional. You're almost feeling as if now you're not just a listener, you're actually part of the music. It makes you feel like you're here with us too. So throughout the last 3 years, I've heard so many of their systems. Audio Group Denmark, Next Level Hi-Fi, I did a tour of his beautiful store. So I've heard a lot. But I gotta say, I think this has been my favorite setup to this day. Now, this is all subjective, one man's point of view. But I think this has been the most impressive display of what Audio Group Denmark is capable of. If that doesn't say much coming from me, I don't know what else will. Stay tuned for more.